Hey, Ethan.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of reminded me of something I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, is my chewing bad? Is my chewing bad?
Well, here's my thought. Podcasting.
Yeah.
Do you eat while podcasting or no? Or drink? Do you eat or drink while podcasting? And how much of that do you allow on mic?
Man. This is a toughie.
I'm just going to out. Here's my stance.
All right.
Drink, no problem.
Okay.
As long as you don't put ice in your glass. Or chew ice at the mic. And definitely no eating. That's my stance. I'm sorry. If I hear a podcast and I hear somebody consuming something, chewing on mic, I immediately turn it off. There are episodes that have come out of the WBC production house that I've had to turn off because of eating on the microphone.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm whatever the kids call it these days. I'm calling it out. If you're chewing on the mic, you've lost a listener at least. Which I know for you guys, if I turn it off, y'all are like, Ethan's old. Who cares? We're not paying attention to what he has to say, or we care less what he thinks, right? So
I mean, you're basically hitting it on the head right now. I mean,
I know I am, but it's come on, have a little class.
Jake. Oh
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did I spoil your joke?
I think you just outed. That's fine. That's fine.
Was that who it was?
Yeah, Jake.
You're like, I was.
Can I address you for a moment, Jake? Love you, man.
Do. Yeah.
We're in the same club. We're in the same no hair club for men. Love you.
Bald.
I can tell. It's going to be a long relationship. But dude, please don't eat on the mic. I would appreciate that, so I can enjoy the rest of the show.
He just told you, Jake.
I've said my piece.
I'm glad you did. I'll have my people get in touch with his people. No, it is, and what it is, I've for the past, I don't know, for a long time I would just mainly try and like compose each show, and my DAW, and then so many mistakes went through each episode, big ones. Sometimes I'm like, man, yeah, I actually need to listen to this.
Yeah, it happens. My brother told me one time, he's like, I had to stop listening to your show whenever Brandon's on because Brandon chews ice in the microphone. And I'm like, yeah, he does. It didn't really bother me. And then I started listening for it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really distracting and not great for the listeners. So, I think about those sorts of things now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just wasn't even listening to our episodes most of the time, because whenever you're doing like 6 shows a week or whatever, it's like, God, this is a lot. So you just start to,
Hope I didn't say anything bad
literally
in that one.
Oh, there were
going out the door.
Yeah, there were things where I was literally there were times where I would listen back to a show, and I was like, wow, that is not family friendly. I need to go and delete that immediately. So. There, it happens. It happens. But now, we're scaling back. We're continuing to scale back a little bit in terms of frequency of content and types of content. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, actually. So stay tuned.
Are we getting into the show now?
I mean,
want to introduce the show.
You should. Yeah, you go for it. I told you were. I wasn't planning on hosting, dude. I'm going in completely blind. I haven't even looked at the doc.
Hey, it's me now. Okay.
Shut up. It's me.
Shut up. It's me.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to Punch Counter Punch. I am one of your hosts, Ethan Maestri. Joining me to my left, to his right. I don't know. I might be to his left.
You're to my right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gabriel Fast.
Hello.
The wannabe critic himself.
That is me.
Yeah. How's it going, man? It's been a week or 3.
It's been a lot.
More.
It's been like a month and a half since we've done a show, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things are good. I started a new job. We can talk about that too if you want, because I was all gung ho about the NFT world, man. So if you want to tear that open, you can. There's nothing really to tear open. I was just talking about it. But I've been good. I've been very, very busy. Things in multiple facets of life are finally returning to normal, at least for us here in little old Nixa, Missouri.
The studio's looking nice.
Thank you.
It's
Yes,
getting a little bit better organized there.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more efficient. I actually have. It's kind of crazy. I have dual ultra wides in front of me, my gaming monitor to my left for console gaming, and then my Mac to my right. So I got a full like wall of monitors going on. It's actually I actually feel like accomplished. Like this is like an impressive studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm happy with what's going on. But yeah, I appreciate that. Things are going good. It's just been really, really busy. So, but how are you?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. You know, I spent all day out in the garage yesterday. I have put off getting rid of a bunch of junk that was out in the garage. And yesterday I walked out, I backed the Boxster out, and I looked at everything, and I was just like, okay, things I haven't touched in 3 to 4 years, it's gone. We're getting rid of it. And I did, and it was cathartic, and it felt great. And at the end of the day, I put up my lawn chair, I had my beer in my hand, I had the tunes going on the radio in the garage, and I was like, I genuinely understand now why old men like to sit out in the garage and just, have
Tinker.
at the end of the day and tinker around. Yeah. I have some plans. I'm going to set up a track eventually out there, analog, or I'm not analog, a digital slot car track. And, you just piddle around, play with the cars out there when I feel like. Yeah, and then besides that, I bought a new telescope setup, or not telescope, binocular setup. The big astronomy type binoculars. I got a pair of those and a nice tripod to put it on. And so I've got another pair of eyes to put in the sky. So when I go out to the dark sky site with friends, they got something else to look through. And, just generally just enjoying life. And I started a new video game.
Oh, did you?
I mentioned to you I was going to start into the Lone Echo series.
Yes, you did mention this.
I was really wanting to utilize my VR a bit more. I really enjoyed the Squadrons experience in VR and found that I love that game so much more enjoying it in VR. So I'm like, what other good VR games are out there? So I did, top VR games since, 2015 or something like that. And I came up with a top 10 list, and it said Lone Echo was one of these. And I'd never heard of it, never looked at it, read the paragraph on it, and thought, yeah, that's my speed. So downloaded it the other night, started playing it. It's really, really cool.
So, okay, I played Echo Arena, I think is what it's called,
yes,
where like you throw the discs. Yeah. That was my first VR experience ever.
Yeah.
Well, on my own VR, like that was the first game I downloaded when I got my Oculus, and I was like, this is bananas. So, is this like the story to that game?
Yeah, it's a one person campaign. That's all it is.
Did you beat it already?
Start out no, I haven't beat it yet. I'm in the process of working my way through it. It is you're a robot, right? And you're on a mining station. You are the AI of the mining station. The robot is basically just your body, your hands. And there is a lone occupant. I forget the lady's name now, but she's the lone occupant on this station that's orbiting above the rings of Saturn. And so it's all autonomous mining that's taking place, and she just monitors things, right? Well, you start off in this station, and it's gorgeous the way it introduces you to the environment and gets you to start moving around, learning what your tasks are and how to do them. Well, and then it immediately drops you into this sci-fi scenario in which this weird energy anomaly opens up, like 5,000 meters off above the rings next to your station. And now you're in the process of, it's causing EMP havoc on the station, and you have to go repair it and get things going on the station again. And now it's pushing more toward investigating what the anomaly is. And it's just it's everything that you love about a mysterious movie, sci-fi movie, or TV show that you love.
It sounds like 2001, like
yeah,
like navigating, yeah.
But it is all of that, and yet not too cerebral. It's great to just sit and just play the story and just see what's going to unfold. And the visuals are amazing. This came out in 2017, and I'm surprised that I haven't heard of this game. But yeah, it's been a real joy, and I'm continuing to enjoy getting into it when I have opportunity to do so.
I actually put my Oculus back on to start exercising. I'm getting serious about my health, and there are some exercise games that are literally the best exercise I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I mean, there's like a boxing game that'll track how hard you actually punch. So you can like go in there and like train, and it feels like you're actually like struggling. Like, there's videos of like legit boxers, like people who do it professionally, and they're like winded playing this game. So it's like it's just an incredible, it's one of those things where you're like, man, yeah, like Ready Player One be looking for real pretty soon.
Okay, so here's what we need. We need Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, multiplayer,
Dude.
VR, and we can just rock 'em, sock 'em.
Literally.
And just go. We can throw down punch, counterpunch style. Literally. Yeah.
Literally. And that'll be the show from now on. Like, we'll have witty banter while beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And being super
reading
winded.
news
So
headlines in between,
so
TKOs.
What did Elon do this time? Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. A little foreshadowing there.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, but that's dope, dude. Yeah, I really want to play those games. It's just my backlog, All in all, like the 50 games thing, like, I'm serious about it, like, because I want to finish parts of my backlog, but I'm at a point right now where I am like really far into like 3 or 4 games, 5 games probably simultaneously while trying to play Destiny. And it's one of those things I can tell, like, I'm going to be finishing games in chunks because I play games on my PC. I have a game on my PS4 I'm playing just because it's on my PS4. Like, that's where it was downloaded. PS5, Xbox. Like, I have games on every platform almost. And it got out to the point to where literally I had to, like, make a sticky note list on my desktop because there's like 13 or 14 games I'm playing or something. So, if I win that bet, it's going to be so glorious just because you don't think I can do it. No, I'm just kidding. It is going to prove to be a challenge because some of the games I want to play are massive. I mean, I've scraped, maybe barely scraped the surface of what Horizon has to offer.
So what I'm hearing is you're pushing Elden Ring off until next year.
Elden Ring, I booted it up last night, actually, and I hadn't played since launch. And I just took about 30 steps and got into one fight, and I was like, nope, not doing this yet. Just because, you think about, like, okay, like we've talked about BioShock and BioShock Infinite on the show, right? And I've talked about those games and, ad nauseum or whatever. And you can get in, like, the nitty-gritty of those games that, but you really have to, like, search for it. Elden Ring is just inherently dense because no one, like, I mean, I'm sure people know the lore about this new game, but the common thing with Souls games is, like, no one knows what's going on. Like, it's already a sense of mystery and, like, fear because you don't know what is going to be around the next corner. And to find those answers, you have to really, like, put yourself in horrendous situations repeatedly to be able to pick up any of it, organically. And Elden Ring is exactly like that. Like, getting into a fight and just seeing your surroundings, you're like, my God, I wonder, like, what happened here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very interesting experience. So, yeah, it's Elden Ring is getting put off for as long as possible.
This brings up an interesting discussion that whether or not we go into it now, that's fine. If we don't go into it now, let's put a pin in it, and it may be something that we have to revisit in a future show, perhaps with a guest. Who knows? Games like Elden Ring you guys were talking about it on an episode that you just recently released about it being a time suck. And not just Elden Ring, but Destiny. You know, you were talking about how much time is, now that they've taken caps away, you can spend just oodles of time just leveling up stuff. And it just seems like it does it without end. Elden Ring's another one of those games where you can spend 80 hours in the game easily, and you're just scratching the surface.
Yep.
Is this why I am less drawn to gaming now, or at least the big titles like Destiny or Elden Ring? I'm from that old school where I want a nice story, and then when I finish that story, I want to take that game, put it up on my shelf, and revisit it like Mass Effect or an old school Halo. And I don't want to be beholden to it for hours and hours and hours and hours to maintain a character or build up a character. Am I the dinosaur now? Because that's how I feel about gaming.
No, I mean, I think it's gotten to the point for pretty much the entire gaming community. Like, the entire gaming community feels this way, I feel like, for the most part. You know, the days of, like, you know, there was a time where there was a handful of developers that would make really cutting edge stuff that you wouldn't just want to replay all the time. Like, you think about like early time PS2, PS3. Am I coming through okay, or am I a little glitchy?
Yeah. You were glitchy earlier, but you're good now.
Okay, cool. You know, you revisit these games that had so much replayability, like Ratchet and Clank, and you know, the shooters of old like Halo and stuff like that. Very rarely would you see a Kojima drop a game. You know, it was like, it would be a huge deal when a developer like that would drop a game. You know, I remember finishing Metal Gear Solid when I was 13, and it ended up being like 40 hours or something that I had put into the game. And I was like, 40 hours for a video game?
It was massive.
I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. You know, I mean, literally, I'm finishing up Ghost of Tsushima right now, and my play clock is right at 40 hours. So literally a game, comparatively speaking, you know, it's like for a game back then where you can't cover as much ground that quickly and everything's more linear, that's a long game, you know, and I did suck at games, so that's part of it. But no, I think it's frustrating, like whenever an Assassin's Creed Odyssey or a Witcher or whatever comes out and people really want to play it, or even like the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Arceus, and like the new Breath of the Wild. Like, there's going to be 3 or 4 games out that are so big, there's no way to consume all of them, yet you really want to. It's like, man, like, I really want to play Horizon, but I bought Arceus first, and I really want to play that, so I can't play them at the same time, you know? And you just run into this problem, and it's frustrating. Like, literally, I've gotten to the point to where I basically will refuse to buy something on day one unless it's something I just really, 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 really want to play, like, day one. Just because Game Pass is so good, first of all. And I know I'm not going to get to all of these huge games that I want to get to. Now, granted, you know, if Sony releases something, usually I'm going to be there day one for stuff just because I'm a Sony pony, you know. But at the same time, I'll have games that really interest me for Xbox that are exclusive. I'll have those downloaded day one as well.
Yeah.
So I just wish there was less. I wish there was more. Like, Concrete Genie is a perfect example. That game's like 12 hours long, something like that. And I didn't feel like it was too repetitive. It didn't overstay its welcome, but it took me like a good week and a half, 2 weeks to beat it, just because I only had an hour or two a day to play, right? And I didn't want to have to think too hard about anything. Now, you mentioned Destiny. I think Destiny is one of those games where once you've played the latest expansion, then it's just kind of maintenance from there. The end game. The end game is what's really robust. But, you know, you're talking a pretty traditional experience in terms of what the main content is of that thing. So, like, for Witch Queen.
So you have a story there, and once you've played that out, you can walk away from it if you don't want to do the maintenance.
Yeah, I think if you're just in it for the story, you know, you might tune in. You know, there for a while, I was only tuning in maybe 2 or 3 times a month, you know, just to kind of keep up with stuff. And, you know, it can be as much or as little or as much as you want it to be. And that's what makes Destiny one of a kind, and why no one's able to replicate that formula successfully, is because Destiny has it, like, down packed, you know? So, but anyways, I remember, like, back in the day when I was playing Reach,
I played through the campaign, and then I could step away from it, and would get together with friends and could do the multiplayer. And then when I felt like it, I could do daily challenges or whatever Bungie was throwing out there at the time.
Yeah, and that's basically
I feel like that's what they continued with Destiny.
That's what Destiny is. Halo Reach was prototype Destiny. And like Destiny 2 has followed that trend of there's dailies, but the variety of dailies, it's hard to be bored unless you're literally like hardcore every single day. Like it's difficult for me to get bored unless I'm playing a ton, Yeah. And then it's like, you might have your 60 or 70 hours for that season that's well over what you would have gotten out of a traditional game. So you got your money's worth, and it's just interesting. I wouldn't feel bad because I'm right there with you. I want to consume all these huge experiences that come out, but they don't need to be 80 hours. They need to be like 20 to 25 because then you can release a sequel. Like you don't have to tell an 80-hour story. Like you can tell a 20-hour you can tell a concise 20 to 25-hour story. Mass Effect did it perfectly. And literally like do that and make it
I feel like here's the thing. Developers need to start releasing their games with here's what you can expect to finish the campaign. If it's between 20 and 30 hours, I'm in. If they've got 40 plus on there, it's not the game for me. Because I'm going to lose interest before I get to the end of it. And there needs to be that kind of so that we, the consumer, know what to expect going in if we are having to budget our time. I just don't want my time wasted.
Yeah. Well, and
if I get 10 hours in and they tell me you got another 40 or 50 to go before you get to the end, man, okay, it's going to be a long time before I get to the end.
What I think about this is why games like Death Stranding are so interesting is because you have a task and you have one task. So like you get kind of the feeling of like Minecraft or kind of like a simulating like building game or something like that. Repetitive tasks, but there's an end in sight. And I wish more games could figure out a way to adopt what Death Stranding did because
break it off into manageable chunks.
Yeah, exactly. And like do it like 20 to 25 hours at a time and make those 20 to 25 hours like really good to where I want to play the game again. That's a big thing that's lacking nowadays is like I have to really, really like a game these days to want to play it again, and a lot of times I'm doing it just because I want the platinum trophy. Like both Spider-Man games, I believe, require you to play it both 2 times. But it's like I want to beat a game, love every minute of it, and be like, oh my God, I want to go through that again. And games like that just don't really come out anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, good times. Noodle salad.
Yep. Moving on.
Anything else you want to talk about? You've been up to?
Well, I've been drumming a lot lately.
Oh, have you now?
Yeah, a lot. I'm getting to where like when we played in the band, like I'm already getting to like that again almost. So it's all kind of coming back, and I got blisters on my fingers. You got
blisters on your fingers.
Yeah, and it's music. I always come back around to music, man. Of whenever I find music is like kind of the center point of.
It's so funny you bring that up because sitting right here next to me. Because the other night I was sitting there plucking away on the old bass.
Yeah.
And picked up a few covers that I really enjoy that I like playing now, and you come back to it. You always come back to it at some point.
I find whenever music is like at the focal point of whatever I'm doing, like I'll drive around to work. I've been listening to the Elder Scrolls Oblivion soundtrack, and it's like, man, like games are awesome. Like even in that aspect, I feel like whenever music that means something to me or evokes emotion within me during that time, if I'm actively listening to music, it makes every facet of my life like better. And I appreciate sitting down to do a podcast. It's like I just for some reason feel like something's been unlocked to where you can just empathize and like talk better about what's happening in your respective lives. It's just music's awesome, man. I'm happy to be playing again. So
yeah, I feel you on that. Well, what do you say we move on?
Yeah, it's been a half an hour of nonsense.
It's been a half hour. Let's crack it. We said it was going to be a short one, but we're going to crack into this one.
Yeah.
Quick whiskey bros before we move on. I am drinking Ardbeg. Ardbeg Distillery. It's a Islay Scotch from the island Islay, and it is very smoky and delicious. So it's like heavy peat, heavy smoke. I highly suggest, if you like smoky scotches, Ardbeg is the distillery that you need to look for. This particular version is the Ano. It's spelled Aooa.
Aonoa.
Yeah, it's Ano.
It's so funny you mentioned Isla. I've always heard it as Ela. Is it not Ela?
It may be Ela.
Okay,
yeah, Ela.
Whatever.
Yeah, it probably is.
I literally have a bottle of scotch.
I'm from Arkansas. So
yeah. Well,
I'll own
you.
that.
We'll forgive you. I literally have a bottle of scotch in my pantry right now called Col Ela.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's literally like the same. It's like I only drink it maybe like about once or twice a year just because it is pure peat. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa! Like I feel like I just got punched in the mouth by like Ryan
and I got together one evening and we were throwing dice, and he brought over one of his samples, and it was a heavy smoke, heavy peat, and it just put me in the mood for that. So I had to go out to the local store and say, "Hey,
Jugs?
what have you got?" Huh?
Was it Jugs?
No, it was not Jugs. It was Macadoodles.
Oh, okay.
But cool. I'm done with Macadoodles. Less cool. Because the sample that he brought over, I went to Macadoodles and said, "Hey, can you get this?" And they're like, "Well, it's on the registry for Missouri, so we can sell it." I'm like, "Great, get me 2 bottles." And they came back and said, "We don't have a distributor that'll bring it in." I was like, "Done." So I'm going elsewhere.
What the heck?
I don't know that, but anyway, so they're kind of on
is
my
like pretty like well renowned. So
yeah,
that's
well,
weird.
They're very renowned, but their manager here in town is not very motivated apparently. So I'm kind of done with them. So I will take my business to Jugs.
Probably a franchise type deal.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
assume.
it is. So that's fine. I can buy my good scotch elsewhere.
Yep,
I will take my business elsewhere.
Do it.
That's what I'm doing.
Do it.
So anyway,
Karen.
that's the quick whiskey, bro. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm enjoying a nice Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, a mini can.
There you go.
Even though I drank one earlier.
I was gonna say I'm watching my health. Take the second one down.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, man, where diet soda, it is what it is. I have to have it. It's become a need.
I was watching a show the other night. Oh yeah, it was a Stargate episode we were watching with friends, and one of the characters says their metabolisms are like hyper quick. So they're ordering like 3 steaks, multiple bowls of potatoes and stuff like that, and a diet soda. And everybody at the table looks at her and she's like, "I like the taste." And all of us responded, "Said no one ever."
Hey, I it's not so much the taste, it's more just like the feeling. And that sounds really bad because
that does sound bad.
It sounds really bad
because you know what makes that stuff up.
Yeah,
it's not good for you.
It's really not. I mean, caffeine is like the most widely accepted drug on the planet. So call me an addict, baby. I don't care. I'll drink my diet soda and die in peace. All right.
I know my mom loves Diet Pepsi.
Look, as long as you're drinking water, you got to be drinking water too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really important.
Well, that's with anything. Moderation, people.
Yeah.
We recommend good whiskeys, but drink in moderation. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's our PSA.
There you have it.
What do you say? We move on to do some news right quick here.
Take it away, Jeeves.
All right. So here's what we got. 4/4/22, which is the day we're recording right here.
Whoa, breaking? Are we breaking news right now?
Breaking news.
Are you cereal?
Yeah, bruh.
Cha.
Elon Musk takes a surprise 9% stake in Twitter, sending its shares higher. This comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. The Tesla CEO in recent weeks said he was considering starting up a rival social media company of his own. And now he goes and does this. Is Elon Musk the most interesting man in the world right now?
I think he's always been the most interesting person in the world.
All we need is a picture of him kicked back with a white beard and a Dos Equis, right? That's what we need?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Well, the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah, he drinks Dos Equis.
Yeah.
That is actually a really good freaking point, Ethan. He doesn't always tweet, but when he does, he literally buys 10% of the company.
That's right. That needs to be a meme.
Yeah, literally. It makes sense. Twitter's the place to be. That's literally what the slogan is, or where it's at, or something like that.
It's what's happening.
It's what's happening. That's right.
That's it.
So, I mean, Twitter is rising to, more and more people get on Twitter every day. I mean, it's booming right now. It's a big deal.
Well, it has become more of a platform for if you have a message or branding, that's where you're going. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've seen more and more. I'm not on there to follow friends.
No,
although I do
not.
have friends that I follow on there. That's not my purpose in having it. It's just, you do something that if there is someone that happens to be paying attention, you put it out there on blast, and whoever sees it. Yeah, no,
I've always viewed it like as a diary to my most inner, like, loves type thing. Like, literally all of my guilty pleasures and, like, the things that matter most to me.
Yeah.
I get to have where I want to have an opinion on something, and on an unabashed opinion. Like, I can do that. And whoever picks it up, whatever, if you don't like it, you're wrong. So.
Yeah, and for me as a podcast listener, it's the quickest and easiest way for me to interact with those that are creating content, and I use it for that. If I really care about a podcast, I will send an email, but that's a special reserve type thing. Twitter, otherwise, and that way I can just send it out there, and it's like a burner phone. I don't think about it after that. So. Yeah, but here, a little off subject. Elon Musk is probably the most interesting man in the world, and I'm. I say that in meme form, but it's true. Mm-hmm. He's got the money. He's doing really interesting things. If you look back over the last decade, from Tesla, successful, SpaceX, now very successful. And here he goes taking nearly 10% in Twitter, arguably one of the most popular social media platform out there right now.
Except for TikTok.
What?
No. That's the most boomer thing you've ever said, Ethan.
That is the most...
Welcome to being. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Yep. Hey,
I'm gonna Chris Rock you right now if you're not careful. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it.
Wow, how about that, huh? We haven't talked about that.
Dude,
there's not really nothing to talk about.
I have nothing to say. It's a bad joke at this point. I don't freaking care.
Yep. Moving on then.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, I have to have a little space news in here. On March 16th. This comes to us from spacenews.com. NASA has completed the next step in the commissioning of the James Webb Space Telescope by fine-tuning the alignment of its primary mirror segments, confirming the telescope's optics will meet or exceed expectations. We'll get to that a little bit more here in just a second. The agency announced on March 16th that the spacecraft team had finished the coarse phasing and fine phasing steps of the alignment of the telescope's optics. Those steps involved very small changes in the position of the space telescope's 18 primary mirror segments, such that the images were aligned on top of each other and then matched to within a wavelength of infrared light. We're talking very, very fine adjustments that were being done here. As to the meet or exceeding optic expectations, what I saw online was that the star, and there was an image that was released once this alignment had been done. You're aware of it, right, Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in infrared, and you see a star. This star is located in the constellation of the Big Dipper, Ursa Major, where the Big Dipper is at. The star is in that constellation. You can't see it with your naked eye. If you walk out in your backyard and knew right where to look, you would not see it. It is that dim. But in this image, it looks like the frigging sun.
It's well, and just the things. What got me was those things around it. Like, I'm assuming you're gonna touch on it. Like, I'm gonna steal your thunder. I'm sorry, but literally that star, and you're like, wow, that's wild. And then you look around and you realize those stars are not stars.
No.
Those stars are galaxies, and you can, for the first time, see literally what Mass Effect nerds have been seeing for 10 years. And, like, you know, when people don't, like, grasp just how insignificant we are, you know, in terms of the space. It's insane.
Yeah. So getting back just to that star, that star is 100 times fainter than what you can see with the naked eye. And that's the scale of the magnification and the resolution. And like you said, we're talking about a pinpoint of light, essentially. I forget the distance now. I did know what the distance was, but it's been a few weeks. But then, like you said, we're looking around it at galaxies that are on the order of billions upon billions of light years away. And we're resolving with fine detail those galaxies. So this telescope is going to be mind-blowing and just a whole other level of science and exploration that we're not ready for. And it's going to be amazing this summer when the first pictures start coming around. Now, I do want to touch on very briefly, we're not going to go into the politics of it. There is an argument right now over whether or not it should be called the James Webb Space Telescope. I'm going to continue to refer to it as such until such time as that name gets changed. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of changing the name and the reasons why and all of that. That is for NASA and society to sort out. I'm not going to spend time on it myself. But for now, until such time as that name changes, we're going to continue to refer to it as the James Webb Space Telescope or the JWST. So just get that out there. And so, you know, if you want to tweet me or send me angry emails and tell me why I'm a bad person in society, whatever. But until things change, that's what I'm going to keep referring to it as.
Same, dude.
So there you go.
I'm just going to refer to it as the Jwist.
The Jwist.
The Jwist.
There you go.
It kind of sounds like a guy with an accent who's saying juice kind of funny. Yeah, that's the Jwist.
The Jwist.
I juiced it up, dude.
The James Webb Space Telescope is here to pump
you up. It's so early. You want to go get some coffee or something?
Yeah.
That's the same for you.
Let's do that. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Moving on. Next song.
Moving on. All right, so March 5th. This comes to us from VG247.com. Prices for credits in the game of Gran Turismo 7. Here we go. Gabe's ready to unleash both barrels on this one, so let me get through this quickly. Again, this is about Gran Turismo 7. Credits for vehicles range from $2.49 for 100,000 credits to $20 for 2 million credits. Some cars will cost you more than 2 million credits. Unlike Gran Turismo Sport, individual cars cannot be purchased at a set price. While you can earn credits in-game, it might be a bit of a grind if you wish to acquire enough credits to buy the Porsche 919 Hybrid 16, which will run you 3 million credits. This means you would have to purchase the 2 million credit option twice, which would cost you $40 in real money. So what we're saying here is what, Gabe? And why is this evil?
Polyphony is freaking ruining Gran Turismo again. And it's unfathomable to me. Like, literally unfathomable that you have the opportunity to literally be a true competitor to Turn 10 and Playground Studios in terms of who has the best car game. you have an opportunity to do that. And instead, you're going to be able to, it's predatory is basically what it is, like more than anything. Because the people that really want to have every car and fine tune everything, which I think is like, there's not that many cars, but still to buy every car, I think I heard this on Bush League, it'd be like $3,000 if you wanted to buy everything, something like that. And that is greedy, predatory nonsense. And until something's changed, I won't support it.
You played the game?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I played Sport. I've been playing Sport. I picked Sport up for about $10 a few months ago. I've been playing it. And anticipation, I almost bought Gran Turismo 7 day one, but it released the same month as Horizon and Elden Ring.
And we should also point out, when did this change? When did this get introduced? Was it before launch?
Yeah,
or after review?
Yeah, after
it had been reviewed.
No, as like, I don't even think in the review process it even talked about it. Like,
okay, so it happened after launch.
Yeah, I think reviews I read said something like, yeah, there's a lot of microtransactions, but other than that, like, it wasn't that big of a deal until players got their hands on it.
Okay.
And it's frustrating because the game looks incredible, and from what I tell, it plays incredible, especially with the DualSense.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Gabe, you know me, and you know I'm not a person that really gets caught up in FOMO, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that person. I don't get motivated because I feel like I'm missing something. I will say this. I've been watching videos, and I've been looking at the stills coming from Gran Turismo 7. There's just a tinge of fear of missing out on this game because I love race car simulators, right?
Yep.
This game looks amazing. It's beautiful. It looks like all the things that I hated about Gran Turismo 5, which is the last iteration that I ever played. It looks like all of that has been, developed out, and that's awesome because GT5 was trash as far as interface and trying to advance through that game. This is the first time I've been interested in a Gran Turismo game in a very long time. But this thing that they have just done, instead of revolutionizing the genre, which is what they looked like they were on course to do, they have totally whiffed it by doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not fair.
It's not fair. I mean, it goes against the traditional sense of gaming. I don't even understand the reasoning for it. Like, why would you even need to price your games that high? It makes no sense. I mean, yeah, it's disappointing, man. Like, it just it literally makes no sense. It's like, look at the biggest games on the market right now. Like, look at Avengers. You're literally doing what Avengers did. Like, releasing something that has hints of glorious nature and making it all about the money. It's dumb.
Now, if this were a situation where they were putting just tons of man hours into developing these cars so that when you sat in the cockpit, you looked like you were sitting in the real thing and it sounded exactly like the real thing. That takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of data gathering. It takes a lot of coding to generate one car that is as realistic as possible. If that's what they were doing, maybe I would spend $40 for a car or two that I was genuinely interested in, because that would give me a sense of ownership, right? Mm-hmm. But that is not what it seems is happening here. This just feels like a pure money grab based off of existing models that they're just bringing forward with their game. And that's just, you're right, you said it. It's predatory. It's just not good.
It just makes no sense, man. I mean, I when I say unfathomable, it's in the sense of literally the greatest racing game to come out, the racing series, it has been the Forza series, like in terms of simulators. It's the best. Like, what? Well, I mean, really? You don't think it's the best?
No, I don't. It's the most accessible. It's the most accessible.
I was say, hold on. We're talking. We're getting into a big subjective discussion. So, approaching it from a casual perspective and a hardcore perspective, I feel like there's a lot of bleed over for a game like that, which to me would put it above the rest. I mean, like Mario Kart's awesome, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, So,
No,
anyways,
I think I follow you.
in terms of accessibility, let's say that.
Yeah, Forza by far. At least in the community that I'm around and I'm familiar with.
Obviously, there's niches within that niche, but I mean that's a pretty big thing. Like, there's a lot of people that'll hop in the latest Forza game just to play it. You know, that they don't have to be necessarily huge car enthusiasts. It's just impressive to them.
Yep.
And that's literally what Gran Turismo looked to be, and that's what Gran Turismo was like on the first PlayStations. On the first PlayStations, dude.
Yeah,
that revolutionized
what I cut my teeth on. 1 and 2 was just that was God level.
And just like the feeling it gave you, I'll never forget the Gran Turismo 2 opening is one of the best game openings of all time. You know, that it was so.
Yeah, I ran out and bought the CD. Still have it right here.
Yeah, it was just so iconic, and I get hints of that in Gran Turismo Sport, where I'm like, this feels like Gran Turismo. You know, it's just a little cumbersome to navigate, and literally, you had any good faith. Any goodwill you were building to like regain your audience, you did the wrong thing, dude.
Yeah, gone. And anybody that was halfway even considering slipping their toe into that PlayStation waters for that game, no, I'm not thinking about it now.
Yep.
They've made the decision for me, and it's a no. If as long as they're going to hold to that business model.
Yep. It's not gonna be a console seller, you know. No. That's a big thing with,
and it should have been.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is PlayStation makes the dumbest decisions on releases sometimes, and they cannibalize their own games. So literally, you release Gran Turismo 7 within 3 weeks of Horizon. Literally, one of the biggest games that you like, two of your biggest titles, and it's pretty obvious which one took the cake. You know, you shouldn't. I don't like whenever, and this is a big reason why I don't like Xbox for a lot of reasons, is because with Game Pass, it's literally cannibalizing so many experiences.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And I don't want PlayStation to do that. I don't want PlayStation to have 3 exclusives out within a 4-month period. That's just too much for me. You know, and I guess the games are always going to be there, but I wish I had a reason. I wish games came out in such a fashion to where I had a reason to finish it entirely before I would buy the next one, you know. But that's just not the day and age we live in, Ethan. And Polyphony, I'm probably not going to buy your game even if it goes on really good sale, dude.
Yeah.
So,
sad.
You screwed the pooch.
That's right. Really sad. All right. Last headline we've got here. I thought this was interesting. This comes to us from Deadline.com, March 16th. Paul Wesley joins the cast of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. He joins cast as James T. Kirk. Now, Gabe, are you familiar with James T. Kirk, the name?
James T. Kirk. Isn't that the captain of the Enterprise?
The OG Enterprise, yes.
Right. Well, Shatner, right?
Bill Shatner, exactly. Yeah. Mr. Bill Shatner. Now, obviously, Chris Pine has also played him in the J.J. Abrams universe movies. And now Paul Wesley will be James T. Kirk in this new television series, Strange New Worlds. I have not watched Strange New Worlds. I'm kind of out on new Star Trek. I have my reasons. I'm not going to go into them here. The community, though, this was a really interesting tweet that I saw the other night after this announcement came out. And someone had mentioned there was consternation over yet another Kirk being introduced into Star Trek storytelling. Why does it have to be Kirk? Why couldn't it be a new character? Right? And so it brings up this whole argument of, in our storytelling, we're now getting to the point where we're seeing it. We've seen it in Star Wars for a while, and now we're seeing it in Star Trek. They have the opportunity to do brand new stories, all new characters, tell stories elsewhere, and expand the universe, right? But they don't do that. They draw it back down to the original characters and they feel like they have to use them as a crutch in order to advance the story, right? And so there's this growing argument of, well, what do we want to see in our entertainment? I feel like there's room for all of it. In some cases, you want your old characters there, right? I happen to have enjoyed Boba Fett. I enjoyed revisiting that character. It's an old character from original Star Wars, right? I like the original Star Trek series. But I don't necessarily need to see their story retold again on screen in new Star Trek. I'm kind of the mind in this regard, go boldly into new territory, right? Tell us original stories with original characters. You have to say, well, they work for the Federation. They're in a Starfleet ship. But give us something new, right? Don't go back to the old thing. And it's not what we're getting. Your thoughts? Because I know this crosses over into your Star Wars.
Yeah.
What you're thinking on this?
Anyone who's ever said that Star Trek has the same gravitas as Star Wars, it's not even close, dude. Like, it's not.
Well, you weren't alive in the early 90s when it was at its peak.
Well, okay, that's fine. But now, I mean, which one has amassed more?
Oh,
which one has,
yeah.
It's that's what I'm saying. Like in the 90s,
Star Trek cannot hold a candle to Star Wars.
No, right, exactly. And I mean,
and hasn't been able to for the last 20 years.
Sure. And in the 90s, yeah, sure, I would assume Star Trek probably would have been, I mean,
well, Star Wars disappeared. Other than books,
exactly.
It disappeared.
I mean, well, and
Star Trek was going strong on TV at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Jean-Luc Picard, dude. Like, people who weren't nerds, like, watched that show just because it was popular. It was pop culture. It was big.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we find ourselves now with Star Wars and a lot of this other stuff. With the Halo show, right? Like, you're having this retelling, which I've listened to your short bits on it, and I totally agree with you. This seems like a show where if you want to tell the story you want to tell it with a different character. Put a different Spartan in there. Literally.
Because what you're doing to Master Chief is ruining a lot of fanboys' timelines, right?
And it's one of those things, like, whenever you're talking about something, like, and you're really passionate about X, Y, and Z, whatever, and your buddy, like, gives you a hard time and you want to fight about it, right? But you're like, oh, you're messing with me. Like, I can't take you seriously type thing. That's literally what the Halo show has been these past 2 episodes. It's like, I want to get mad, and I'm like, oh, well, you didn't play the games. Like, you literally told me you didn't play the games, so you're trolling me. I feel like I'm being trolled, and I'm okay with it. Yes, I'm being trolled, and what's weird is, like, I go to this really interesting place, and this is why I really liked the first version of Justice League, was because something clicked for me where I was like, this entertainment is on a different level in terms of it's not trying to be so deliberate. It's self-aware. And I think that's one thing I have to give props to this Halo show about is it makes no apologies. It's very self-aware of what it is. It's not trying to pander to, in its first episode, it makes maybe a couple of references in terms of, like, gaming things, but it's not trying to, it tells you in the first 15, 20 minutes, it's not trying to pander to fans at all, really.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the game.
This is a attempt to draw in more people, this is a big attempt too. And it's honestly kind of smart in my opinion, because I just think about the clientele of people who watch Paramount Plus and the shows that are on Paramount Plus. And it makes me think of a very specific type of person. And it's that guy that talks about, oh yeah, we used to play Halo all the time and never played the campaign.
Yeah.
Literally only played multiplayer each time.
He sat in the college dorm room on LAN parties.
Exactly. And
that was it.
Didn't care. He would
about
maybe even didn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was interesting enough. But it was like, oh yeah, whatever.
That is a brilliant point, because there were a lot of those guys out there.
Yeah.
That could care less about the story, could care less about the lore and the hierarchy of the Covenant and all of that stuff that really jazzed us.
Yep.
Because it was phenomenally good storytelling in a game. They totally missed all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like it was the Call of Duty fan that would buy Call of Duty and Halo each year. They would come out and play both of them multiplayer only, you know. And it is a Call of Duty fan who is literally like will dip into Halo every once in a while, but he's not really a Halo fan. He just plays it because that's what's out.
That
is because the people who casually watch TV, especially on Paramount Plus, dude. Like I think about this is horrible to say. I'm not typecasting anyone, but Yellowstone is on Paramount Plus. You know how many Midwesterners watch Yellowstone? It's like Paramount Plus had its peak viewing for the Halo show. It's like, yeah, because the entire Midwest tuned in for its first episode. It's like, yeah, man, used to watch some people play this in high school. I'll watch it. Whatever. Seems cool.
Yeah.
You know. Plus, you get Liev Schreiber's brother is Master Chief.
What I'm hearing here is the downfall of Western society and entertainment is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They're responsible. It comes back to COD.
Yeah.
Being
basically
the problem with the world.
Yeah. It's you hit it on the head, Ethan.
It's
like, why do I keep paying $70 for this every year it comes out? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Why do I pay $70, play it for 3 weeks, and not touch it for like weeks? It's a vicious cycle, you know?
Yep.
It's just mindless. That's what people want, dude. They don't want to be associated with any sort of like attachment, really, in my opinion. Like a lot of people, it's just like they'll watch whatever's on, but they don't really care about it.
I mean, you look at Star Trek. Star Trek has been gutted of all of the things that made Star Trek what Star Trek was in the 60s, in the 80s, in the 90s. It's devoid of it now. Now it's about social commentary on direct political things that are happening right here, right now, and it's not nuanced at all.
Yep, it's right on the nose.
It's very bonk on the head, and there's no subtlety, there's no nuance, and it doesn't really hold to what sci-fi used to be. And yeah, it's a direct result of what people want to consume in their entertainment. They don't want to be challenged. They really don't want to be challenged.
And what's weird, we've devolved as a society because literally the most interesting things you can watch, for the most part, if you're a geek, is what Disney is putting out.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That is literally, it's like, that is going to let you down the least. Like,
that's how it should be phrased.
And it's strange. It's strange that I'm psychoanalyzing key points of Moon Knight, right? Moon Knight. Who is this guy? What's going on? And I should be having those things about Master Chief and his show, but the difference is I don't care. That's the problem. It's how hard is it? I said this in my latest review, which bite-sized is what I'm calling it, little 5-minute readings here and there, week to week. The setup for this would be great for a different IP. And actually, I was thinking to myself, I was watching, I'm like, man, this would be an amazing like Mass Effect show, like literally. But then I thought about it, I was like, nah, they probably wouldn't play those games either, so actually forget it. Like, just make up something new. Give us a new Space Marine to be endeared to, and we'll be making those comments of, oh yeah, but is he as cool as Master Chief, right? Like, and you just took that away. You're like, nope, this is Master Chief, and we're taking his helmet off first episode. It's like, what?
Did you learn nothing from Mandalorian?
Are you kidding me? And it's so on the nose. They want this to be Mandalorian so bad. Yeah. It's cringy at times. I'm like, oh my God. Like, even my wife was watching. And see, I'm tuning in week to week as well because my wife is interested in it. She's like, this is cool, But even the first 5 minutes, she's like, or 10 minutes, she's like, wow, they're really trying to be Mando, huh? And I was like, yup. Like, my wife said that. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I feel like, for me personally, if there was an origin story, because I am interested in Star Trek, it's just, it's gone through so much, like, it hasn't had the same treatment that Star Wars has had.
No.
Not even close. I mean, you try and go back the original series. I've tried, dude. I mean, zoinks is all I got to say. But It doesn't mean it's bad. If you can put yourself in the mindset of like, okay, don't compare it to literally anything. Just try and have an open mind, you know. Even then, dude, like, just not a ton of love has been put into preservation of that series, and has even, from what you've told me, has even gone so far to kind of like bastardize key elements of what made Star Trek great in the first place. You know, especially with Picard. You know, what was the Discovery, right? You're not hot on the heels of, you know. So I don't know.
And I tried. I hung with Discovery for 3 seasons, and I tried to like it, and it got steadily worse. Yeah, and I just couldn't hang with it.
Yeah, and that's sad that has to happen. I think I would be more interested to explore this universe and lore with a retelling if it was done well. Like,
well, if it was done in the spirit of, and I'm not going to say in the spirit of Gene Roddenberry, because his vision for what Star Trek was and should be, that changed over time.
But do what
it started out and what it became when it was at its peak. If they gave it the same respect and treatment as that, it could be good. It could be.
Literally do what Next Generation did. Like, do that again. Make Star Trek the talk of the town yet again.
Yeah.
You know, like, endear us.
It's just we live in a day and an age and in a society where you're not going to get lightning to strike that third time. Not with this property.
You know what would be rad is if Gene Roddenberry decided, you know what, I'm making a Mass Effect show, guys.
It'd be kind of hard since he died in 1991.
I'm just saying, what if? That'd be crazy. That's good sci-fi.
It is. Yeah.
I have a question.
But it's could you sit through a Mass Effect show? Because Mass Effect, to me, the appeal was you being directly involved in the decision making to make that story what you felt like it should be. Could you sit and watch a show where somebody else had that control?
Yeah, because I have a very simple solution for you.
Okay.
Don't tell Shepard's story.
And you broke up just right there when you said it.
I said don't tell Shepard's story.
Okay.
Allude to the mystery of what's the ancient race, the Forerunners or the whatever.
Yeah.
Address their presence in the galaxy, and maybe even, you know, tell us the story of when the humans first found the mass relays. Like,
oh, that would be okay. So you're going back to like the Expanse type.
Yes,
story.
Like do that. You know, like
that could be good.
It could be. Well, especially that political intrigue, right, between the big 4 alien races, you know, and how the council kind of came to be and why humans were kind of excluded. And, you know, like, you can have your social commentary without having to literally bring any weirdness into it at all, because the entire point, you know what I mean? Like, not to bring any socio-political whatever into it, but...
you could even do something like... Yeah, you could even go back to like when the humans first encountered the Turians or something like that.
Yeah, and like
because
have them be at war.
Because that touched off of conflict.
Yeah, like have those skirmishes because the Turians were far out.
And if you had a core group of characters that were making their way through that difficult... that's the type of sci-fi storytelling combined with the elements of conflict that you need to make an interesting series.
How hard would it be?
It would be...
I mean, the Krogan race is one of the most fascinating races ever, in my opinion. Like, how hard would it be? You freaking idiot. I hate you. God.
That old chestnut.
Clan Erdnot. I tell you, I've been playing through the trilogy again.
Yeah.
That's one of the games, the 3 games I'm playing. I downloaded it on Xbox, and I think I'm gonna play Mass Effect 1 again.
Wow.
I've really
the special edition.
Yeah, for sure. That's the only way. I mean, dude, I think it's on sale.
The original.
I think if it's on sale, you need to buy it. Like, it is a must own.
I actually was thinking about it the other day. I've still got it on my PC and was thinking about firing it up again.
It makes Mass Effect 2 especially, or Mass Effect 1 feel like Mass Effect 2 in a lot of aspects.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about. It needed in order for that game to survive.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, getting back to the discussion,
Yeah.
Could I watch a Mass Effect show? Yeah, because there's plenty of background and, all kinds of stuff that could be touched on and explored and be really, really cool. The Quarians, dude, oh man, the possibilities are endless.
But here again, you're talking about lore that is deep into a game that we love. Would people bringing it to television, would they give it the same love? Obviously, they didn't with Halo. So what makes us think they would do it with Mass Effect?
They make the Covenant look like freaking idiots. If you make the humans look like idiots in a show, that's what people want. People want the nitty-gritty exposed about themselves. And I think since the Turians, the Quarians, there are races within that show that are just inherently interesting. And so is the Covenant, but they make the Covenant look like freaking idiots in this Halo show. Whereas if you were going to do a Mass Effect show, you would have to make the humans be the lowest one on the totem pole and tell that story, in my opinion. So yeah, I think people would love it.
Yeah, and that's why I can't watch shows like that, because I came from old school Star Trek where the humans were reaching their full potential and they didn't have the flaws and foibles to the level that we experience today. That's why I enjoyed watching them, because it was projecting myself into the future and saying, this is what it could be if I were better, or if the people around me were better also. Look at what we could have achieved.
Sure, but that journey's hard fought. That's what I would want to see. I think a payoff, right? Showing kind of like what you're saying, humans rising to be this mogul of power, and equally formidable.
Yeah.
And having, Shepard saves the day in the Mass Effect games multiple times.
Yeah.
Have that same feeling, So, I don't know. Hire me.
Well,
hire me, guys. That's all I say. I'll make it freaking
Paramount,
awesome. All right.
If you want a successful show, hire Gabe Fast.
Hire me. There you go.
Well, that's all I got. That's all our news. That's a short bit of whiskey talk and what we've been up to.
Yeah.
And
just over an hour.
I'm talked out.
Yeah, I'm about there. I told you earlier in the show. We were talking about it off mic. And I was like, yeah, this might be the time to just kind of talk about it. Just kind of clear the air. So I had mentioned at the top of the show that I was going to be maybe taking a step back a little bit from creating stuff. I think I've been wrestling with... I have all these projects that I love. I love doing them. And I am not a person that accepts change very easily. So, some of our core shows, like Keeping It Real, we've taken it down to one show a month. It's a monthly show. It's very, very, very casual. The Wannabe Critic we do each week. We've taken a few weeks off. We'll record a few weeks on, take a week or two off, a few weeks on, whatever. It's relatively manageable. I do music reactions, and I've been finding that a lot of my auxiliary projects, the time for those projects is slipping to focus on them, just because with each passing day we move more and more towards a more normal world. It's almost like the pandemic is becoming a wrinkle of itself a little bit. And I'm not saying it's all 100% safe. Obviously it's not, but things are moving forward. So I'm not having as much time, to do stuff. I'm not working from home anymore. I took on a new job, making car keys. Things are different. I'm not at home physically to be able to work on stuff as much. So you have this few month long thinking process of, okay, what do I want to do? Well, it started with cutting back on Keeping It Real, which was a show I was just losing passion for. We'd been doing it for a long time and just wasn't feeling it anymore. And it's nothing against obviously those guys or anything, but I've had some great conversations with those guys. I think without what the Wannabe Critic, because that was the Wannabe Critic group. Without that group, me, Caleb, and Mikey, that was huge for us going forward because it made me want to do more. So, you get to this point where we've had pretty consistent projects. All the new projects I started, I kept up with for the most part. Some of them had to die here and there. But I've been in this refining process of what I actually want to do. And I'm finding that creating videos with just myself, unless it's a music reaction video, it's something I'm finding myself not wanting to do as much, like kind of step away from that. I'm finding myself literally just enjoying podcasting. And
if I had to spend an hour or two staring at myself on a screen, I'd get sick of it too. Yeah. Especially with that face.
I mean, look at me. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I feel
I'll be
like
here all night, folks.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Here.
Lobbing insults.
Snaps. But yeah, I think it's gotten to a point where I'm like, I want to do something different. I've been doing the same style of thing. I don't want to stop creating content. I just want to do something different. So I've been playing a lot of Destiny. I made a Destiny video to kind of test out what that would be like, to create a video like that, covering that game. Really had a good time doing it. That's a avenue I'm moving more towards, kind of the video essay format. And writing. Creating content for me started with writing first and foremost. And I think for a while I just have been in the process of trying to find that voice, and podcasting has kind of helped refine that. And now I finally gotten the confidence to kind of step back up to the plate and start doing that again and say, sending that stuff up and say, hey, what do you think of this? It's nice. It's nice having literally an accomplished author on the team, to read my stuff, see how it flows. Ethan, obviously I send stuff to you to get your opinion on it. And that I don't want to get too settled into one thing, because then I think I can get complacent. I'm not being challenged, right? I'm not being challenged to create something that's dangerous for me or, makes me feel less safe type thing. And I just don't want to be that way. That's not who the Wannabe Critic is. The Wannabe Critic is, we'll do it live. We'll do it in one take. And what you get is what you get. This, if you came here for freaking a heavily produced show,
we won't fix it in post.
No, we won't. Because I feel like those moments of wow, I'm really uncomfortable right now, you won't forget that feeling. And if you don't want to be around, that's fine. That's totally fine with me. Now, there's some stuff that I listen to and I'm like, okay, that's got to stay. That's got to go. But even still, I think that human element, right, is really important. And I think for that human element to be there, I have to do things continuously that really challenge me as an individual. And so that's kind of where I'm moving towards right now, is things that I haven't done a million times. So my videos, personal videos, are going to be few and far between, depending on what the topic is. I'll be doing a lot of bite-sized reviews is what I'm calling them here on this podcast feed. Obviously, we'll have Wannabe Critic week to week. We'll take breaks in between certain stuff. We're covering the MCU once a month over on Keeping It Real. Game Club is when there's episodes, when there's something to play, or whenever I feel like I'm in that mood again, that'll always be there. But my favorite show, honestly, I'm looking forward to the most, is podcasting with my wife. We've gotten this set up. Did you listen to our first episode of A Guy and His Wife back?
I haven't, but I have not. I have it downloaded, but I have not listened to it.
That was literally some of the best podcasting, I think, best fun I've had podcasting in a long time. And I think, our goal is to do that show twice a month, and I'm just really looking forward to it. I just feel like with every few months, content gets into a different place for me to where I'm like, okay, creatively, I need to do X, Y, and Z. So that's why I'm saying I'm cutting back a lot on content for reviewing purposes, entertainment purposes, and stuff like that. And I'm moving more towards like working on the more creative aspect of the medium. And I'm not ready to talk about what that is yet, but there's going to be a period of time where I probably won't be putting out any videos. Podcasts will probably be very limited, you know. But I'm working on a project that I've been working on for literally like 5 years. And it's finally come to a place where I'm like, okay, like things are coming together and I need to like actually start working on it. So, yeah, it's cool, you know, where there's lots of changes all the time, and I think that's really good. But I just wanted to like talk about that first here, especially with you, Ethan, since you're such a core member of WBC now at this point. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, and I'm excited for it, and whatever role I get to involve myself in with this project, I'm here for it. I'm excited for it.
I'm gonna need your help for sure. So
yeah,
you know, there's that.
You know where to find me. That's
right. Do you have any other musings you want to say before we sign off?
No. No. We're done. This is we haven't done an hour in a while for PCP, so I was glad we got this done.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like whenever we do it once a month or whatever, you know, we're pretty consistent. There just hasn't been a lot of stuff to talk about.
We had 3-4 things to talk about here.
Yeah,
that interested us.
I do want to say, we didn't talk about Taylor Hawkins. That was a huge Taylor Hawkins.
Like legitimately, who?
Drummer for the Foo Fighters.
Oh crap! Yes,
yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's fine.
Because we were back at. I've just blocked it from my mind. I'm in denial. I'm in my denial stage of grieving.
It's been really hard on me. Weirdly, it's like, you know,
weirdly difficult. Did you reach out to me or did I text you when we heard about it?
Because I tweeted it. I just tweeted it.
You tweeted it, and I
were like,
yeah,
yeah.
This one's rough. It's gonna take a little bit to get used to.
Well, and it's like, you know, really, I attribute my musical journey to the Foo Fighters. Like, you know, granted, I played the first 2 Foo Fighters records repeatedly, you know, all the time, as whatever songs I could. You know, that's Dave Grohl playing the drums. Heavily responsible for me learning how to play the drums was Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
But playing along with Taylor Hawkins repeatedly, I mean, he had just as much of an influence on me, just for the simple fact that, like, the Foo Fighters are my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
And Dave hasn't played drums for the Foo Fighters and since I've been alive, or like, you know, since I was born basically. And I don't know, just to think that after all those years, this influence is gone now. It's tough. You know, I found myself like sitting down at the kit and playing a song, you know, and just thinking to myself, like, you just don't think about how you're analyzing you don't think about how you're analyzing every decision the drummer decided to make the same way as whenever they're gone. It's like, oh, this guy's dead now. So, and it just in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm just like learning things in a different way, just thinking like, what? Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, this guy is gone. You know what I mean? It's a weird. You view the music differently now, especially when you're playing along to it, and that's just a weird feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like, you know, because I was around when Kurt Cobain died, and suddenly now your album that you listen to over and over and over in the car, the next time you put it in, you're hearing lyrics differently.
Yeah,
knowing that the person that sang them is gone, and so now there's a whole different perspective that you get. And so yeah, I wasn't trying to be funny. I legitimately just was blanking on the name. But yeah, I mean, a loss like that, and I'm sorry, 50's too young. It really is.
No,
I mean, you guys joke about me being in my 40s, but 50's too young, and so it's a sad thing. And you know, hopefully those guys will be able to rally around each other and get back on their feet and put whatever feelings they have. I'll be interested to see creatively what happens after this.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants just like the band to be done, but Dave Grohl can't not do something.
No.
So, I mean, I'm listening to his book right now, his new storyteller book, which is rad. And yeah, it's just a weird feeling, to like think about like, yeah, without Taylor Hawkins, I probably don't view music the same way. That's deep.
Yeah.
So anyways, not to like end it on a sour note or a sad note or whatever, but he did. So
hey, it's what happened.
It's what happened, man.
And that is the world as it stands.
And that is
tonight.
Another episode of Punch Counter Punch. Down the toilet, as I like to say. So, all right, Ethan, bring us home. Where can people find you?
All right, they can find me at Ethan Maestri on Twitter if they want to get me. That's my personal account, just my personal musings and thoughts over there. You can also find me at Andromeda Pod. That's the Twitter feed for the Drive Back the Night podcast that I do with Ryan Mazzocco that you can find over on Podbean at Andromeda Series. So that's where you find me. There
you have it. There was a few projects I mentioned. If you're watching this, they'll be featured in the description down below. If not, thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow me on Twitter at _ or I think it's Wannabe Critic _ Is it _ Wannabe Critic or Wannabe Critic _ I don't really remember, and I don't really care to look it up.
It's at _ Wannabe Critic.
Okay, at _ first. There you have it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Say goodbye, Ethan.
Wiedersehen.
Well, once again, thank you so much for showing up today. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. I know that's the thing that all the YouTubers do. Everyone's asking to sub. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and who knows, you might even see a video every now and then that you actually like or may be interested in. Not only that, I do a bunch of stuff, so make sure you check all the information down in the description down below. We got podcasts, we got Let's Plays, we got all kinds of stuff for all kinds of fandoms. So make sure you check that out. I would seriously appreciate it, and I would love to see you around here more. I am Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.